Hey everyone, welcome to Logan's Smosh Pick. Glad to have you here. Do me a favor and please subscribe if you haven't already. Today we're going to do another episode of the Setlist Snubs series. In this series, I'm going to talk about a handful of songs from different bands that don't get played live very much. However, I'm going to give you some reasons why I feel like those underrated songs actually deserve to get played live more often than they do. If there's someone specific you guys want me to talk about in a future episode of this series, please leave a comment down below. I'll check your feedback. Today we're going to discuss a few deep cuts from Cinderella. Shout out to my dad for igniting my interest in Cinderella. I just recently gave them a chance and I'm glad I did. Sorry Disney fans, no relation to the Princess Cinderella. This is completely different. My first impression of Cinderella was basically equivalent to sandpaper. If sandpaper had the ability to sing, I imagine it would sound incredibly close to Cinderella. Super duper raspy. On second thought, now that I think about it, maybe you can draw a parallel between the two Cinderellas. Perhaps the lead singer of Cinderella smashed Cinderella's glass slipper, mixed the shards into a protein shake, and ingested it. That would explain his voice type. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Let's recap potential reasons why all bands, not just Cinderella, hype certain songs up live and bully others. I explore these reasons in every video from the Setlist Snubs series to aid new viewers, but if you've been here for a while and you know how the Setlist Snubs format works, please jump ahead a few minutes. Then you won't be exposed to information you've already heard before. The first reason is casual fans set up their tent at the singles campground. This means they're only concerned with the biggest hits from a particular group. In Cinderella's case, Shake Me, Somebody Save Me, and Night Songs would all be fine examples. Checking out deep cuts tends to be perceived as a chore by casual fans. They simply don't feel like doing it. Another reason would be immense pressure originating from fans and even surrounding band members weighs down on them while they tour. It implores them to implement a steadfast set list, chock full of high-ranking tunes in order to keep the fans happy. If fans leave a venue pleased with what the set list entailed, then the odds of them buying tickets to a second show or possibly more climbs considerably. Reason 3 deals with albums which contain songs that weren't praised extensively throughout the music community. Still Climbing, Cinderella's latest effort, fits this criteria to a T. Therefore, running into these songs would be a remarkably rare occurrence, seeing as how most fans in attendance wouldn't want them there in the first place. Reason number 4 is related to a phenomenon where a musical act gets so burnt out through demanding repetition on a track they wrote that they purposefully exclude it from the set list. Reason 5 concerns itself with the ratio of casual fans to hardcore fans. Trust me, the population of casual fans easily trumps hardcore fans. As a result, their voices are viewed by bands as far more influential, leading them to routinely determine which songs are allowed to be unpacked at various concerts. The final reason covers tunes that are in a compromising position. In other words, some songs go through such extensive modification within the studio that they turn to jelly live. Obviously, stages lack a lot of equipment versus studios, so the transition would be bumpy at best and catastrophic at worst. Now that we've unveiled all the reasons, let's submerge in some interesting Cinderella stats, courtesy of Setlist.fm. I'll put a link to Setlist.fm in the description. To get to Setlist.fm on your own, though, just go to Google, type in any band under the sun, and add tour statistics right after that, and tap on the first search result. Then you will be ushered into a vast musical vault with seemingly no boundaries. Setlist.fm provides juicy details on songs, albums, tours, and more. According to Setlist.fm, Cinderella has toured since 1985 and grinded to a halt in 2014. Even though the odds look slim, I hope they will resume activity someday. Nobody's Fool wears the crown in Cinderella's song lineup, shoving 462 appearances in every lesser track's faces. For context's sake, imagine that you were assigned the task of listening to Nobody's Fool approximately 462 times in a row, non-stop without any breaks. How long would it take? Well, math says 121,506 seconds, or 1.4 days. Putting those stats away, why don't we begin briefly talking about a few underrated Cinderella tracks. I picked 5 of them. Since Cinderella only released 4 studio albums throughout their tenure, obviously I had no choice except to pick 2 songs off the same album. I ranked them in descending order, and I'll also put a link to all 5 songs down below. Also, let me know in the comments what other underrated Cinderella tracks exist out there. First, we got Back Home Again from Cinderella's debut album, Night Songs. Back Home Again has made itself at home on the set list only 76 times, 16% compared to Nobody's Fool. Back Home Again will definitely turn heads. It's a very powerful song. The texture kind of reminds me of a full-fledged, rumbling AC/DC composition. One can detect a hint of sentimental value lingering there, but for the most part, Back Home Again aligns with Cinderella's vintage reaction, rocking so hard you practically feel immortal. Steel with a hint of honey. Next, I chose a song called If You Don't Like It. I imagine Cinderella wanted to add something vulgar at the end, and Mercury Records was like, no. Or maybe it's more innocent, about kids eating broccoli. I don't know. I didn't write the song. If You Don't Like It popped into existence on Long Cold Winter. It has accompanied them on tour just 42 times. Well, surprisingly, title aside, there's a lot to like about this one. It offers a rather guttural vocal execution, shrewd riffs, and a killer beat. The inclusion of backing vocals found in the chorus was a nice touch. It improved the song quality quite a bit in my opinion. Cinderella drilled the message into listeners' heads that you should do whatever you want because people are going to judge you anyway. However, you decide whether or not to allow their judgment to impact you. After that, I reached for Make Your Own Way, found on Heartbreak Station, dedicated to nasty gas station bathrooms. Unfortunately, Make Your Own Way has only arrived at shows a meager 11 times. Make Your Own Way's demeanor sounds very similar to early Def Leppard. It really does. The lyrics broadcast how each individual gets dealt a specific hand at birth, and they must decide what to do with those cards. Setbacks are a recurring theme when it comes to life, and it's up to you to pick yourself up again. A lot of sacrifices are required to achieve your goals. Often it'll be difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but there's only one way to find out. I would say of the 5, Make Your Own Way probably earns the Genuine Award. It seemed like the lines leapt off the screen and formed in front of me. All Comes Down, hailing from Still Climbing, gets a turn next, at a mind-boggling 4 times. All Comes Down certainly deserved to go up live. I absolutely adore the blistering riff that opens up this tune. I want to add it to my riff list. Stay tuned for that. Pretty astonishing how nearly a decade after Night Songs emerged, Cinderella managed to retain that same level of intensity. I don't own any roller coasters, but I would make sure All Comes Down turned on before every drop. This song positively scorches everything in its path, especially during the guitar solo. Finally, Fire and Ice, part of Long Cold Winter as well, closes out my list. Sadly, Fire and Ice has never collided live. The subject centers around love, but don't think for a second that Cinderella downgraded their heaviness. Their solid structure remains intact. I was impressed by the way the lead singer stretched those lyrics like a rubber band, infusing some extra emotion. Then the subtle tweaks, including panning from exertion and screeching, acting immediately as a successor after uttering the title. Indeed, Cinderella flawlessly alters from a quivering tone, paramount to cold, to belligerent snarls, manifesting into fire. If I did a karaoke duet, Fire and Ice would be one of the first songs I picked. That hypnotizing chorus orders listeners to sing along. How a song this diabolical never managed to crack the set list is beyond me. Fire and Ice receives top honors today. It's my favorite. That does it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate the support. I'll see you next time. Until then, Rock on.